January 1, 1945. Luftwaffe High Command, Berlin, Germany. Generalmajor Adolf Galland placed the intelligence report on the polished oak table and lit a cigarette, his iron cross catching the lamplight. "Look at this," Galland said, tapping ash into a crystal tray. "The Americans think they can intercept the Messerschmitt 262 with their obsolete propeller fighters." Oberst Johann Steinhoff nodded, leaning back in his leather chair. "Their P-51s are already outmatched by our Focke-Wulf 190s. Against jets traveling 150 kilometers per hour faster, they're flying coffins." Major Heinz Baer, intelligence liaison for JG-7, shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, their production numbers are concerning. They're building fighters at rates we cannot match." But Galland waved him off. "Numbers mean nothing when physics favors us. The Me-262 reaches 870 kilometers per hour. The Mustang tops out at 710. Our jets climb at 1,200 meters per minute versus their 1,000. We've achieved kill ratios of 5, 1 at Merseburg, 7, 1 at Perlitz, 4, 1 at Luna. At Achmer on September 27, 1944, 30 Me-262s destroyed 17 B-17s without loss. At Osnabrück on October 15, the mathematics were undeniable. German jet technology represented an evolutionary leap that made Allied piston-engine fighters obsolete overnight. What Galland didn't know, what none of them could have known as they reviewed intelligence summaries in that Berlin conference room, was that American tactical innovation would destroy 437 Luftwaffe aircraft on the ground within 30 days. The numbers would become catastrophic. American losses of 43 fighters against German losses exceeding 400. Single American fighter groups would destroy more aircraft than entire Luftwaffe Jeschwaders possessed. German pilot casualties would exceed 300 killed. The confident laughter in that Berlin command center would become history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 214 trained fighter pilots dead on runways before their engines reached takeoff power. At Achmer Airfield on November 2, 1944, Oberleutnant Fritz Müller had watched his wingman's Me-262 accelerate past 3 P-51s attempting interception. The Americans fired from maximum range. Their bullets fell away as the jet climbed through 4,000 meters in 90 seconds. Müller's own jet reached 12,000 meters while the Mustangs labored at 8,000, engines straining. At Leipzig on November 8, his Staffel engaged 23 B-17s. They destroyed 9 in 14 minutes. The American escort fighters never closed to firing range. At Koblenz on November 21, his unit achieved an 8-1 kill ratio against P-47 Thunderbolts. The Messerschmitt 262 carried 430 Mk 108 cannons. Each shell weighed 330 grams. A single hit could destroy a bomber. The Me-262's top speed of 870 kilometers per hour exceeded any Allied fighter by 160 kilometers per hour. Its rate of climb at 1,200 meters per minute surpassed the P-51D's 1,000 meters per minute. Its service ceiling reached 12,000 meters versus the Mustang's 10,600 meters. The Americans had lost 277 bombers in October 1944 alone. Their daylight bombing campaign was bleeding aircraft at unsustainable rates. German jet fighters were appearing in numbers sufficient to challenge Allied air superiority. The mathematics seemed irrefutable. Major Heinz Baer reviewed production reports in his Frankfurt headquarters. November 1944 figures showed 350 Me-262s produced. Allied intelligence estimated German jet production at 200 monthly by January 1945. Reports from Switzerland indicated factory expansions near Munich capable of 500 monthly by March. At current attrition rates, the Americans would lose bomber supremacy by April. He drafted a memorandum to Luftwaffe Command detailing American fighter production capacity. "Sir, American factories produced 3,723 fighters in October. This represents 120 fighters daily. A single American production facility can exceed our entire monthly output." The report landed on Galland's desk. Galland read the first paragraph and set it aside. German technical superiority would overcome American quantity. The Me-262 represented physics itself. Speed, altitude, firepower, every measurable parameter favored Germany. Müller understood this. He'd flown 57 combat missions. He'd shot down 11 Allied aircraft. He'd survived attacks by 23 different enemy fighters. Every engagement confirmed jet superiority. The mathematics seemed irrefutable. Dearborn, Michigan, November 1944. Henry Ford II walked through the Willow Run facility as another B-24 Liberator moved down the assembly line. This single facility produced 14 B-24 bombers daily. Every 63 minutes, another four-engine heavy bomber rolled off the line complete with engines, armament, fuel systems, and navigation equipment. The main assembly building stretched 3,200 feet long and 1,280 feet wide, covering 67 acres under one roof. 213 separate assembly stations operated simultaneously. Each station completed specific tasks in precise sequence. Station 47 installed 4 Pratt & Whitney R1830 engines. Station 91 installed 10 Browning M2.50 caliber machine guns. Station 156 installed the Norden bomb sight. Station 198 conducted final systems testing. Station 213 fueled the aircraft and prepared it for flight. Willow Run employed 42,331 workers operating 3 shifts daily. The facility consumed 644 tons of aluminum daily, 89 tons of steel, 34 tons of copper, and 67 tons of various alloys and materials. In September 1941, America produced just 2,141 aircraft monthly across all manufacturers. By December 1942, production reached 5,476 monthly. By September 1943, production exceeded 7,300 monthly. By November 1944, Willow Run alone was producing 420 B-24 bombers monthly. This single facility was producing more four-engine bombers than Germany's entire aircraft industry produced aircraft of all types. German aircraft production peaked at 3,538 aircraft in September 1944. Willow Run's B-24 production represented 11.9% of total German output from one American factory producing one aircraft type. Rose Monroe, previously a waitress at a Louisville restaurant, now operated a riveting station installing wing sections. She installed 348 rivets per hour using a pneumatic riveter weighing 17 pounds. Each rivet secured aluminum sections 0.032 inches thick. Her station completed 43 wing sections daily. Each wing section contained 1,847 rivets. She personally installed 74,571 rivets weekly. She produced more structural components in one 8-hour shift than the entire Heinkel facility at Rostock produced in 24 hours. Rostock employed 3,400 workers producing 12 He-111 bombers weekly. Monroe's single riveting station enabled production of 2 B-24s weekly. The He-111 required 187,000 rivets total. Monroe's weekly output represented 40% of one He-111's rivet requirement. German aircraft production depended on skilled craftsmen hand-fitting components. American production depended on interchangeable parts and specialized machinery. A single Willow Run worker with 3 months training outproduced 3 German craftsmen with 5 years experience. James Turner from Detroit, Michigan, operated an aluminum pressing machine that formed wing ribs. His machine produced 96 wing ribs daily. Each rib weighed 4.7 pounds. His daily output totaled 451 pounds of precision-formed wing ribs. The pressing machine applied 340 tons of pressure forming aluminum sheets into complex 3-dimensional structures within tolerances of 0.008 inches. His single station's daily output exceeded the entire Focke-Wulf facility at Cottbus, which produced 8 FW-190 fighters weekly requiring 214 wing ribs. Turner's machine produced sufficient wing ribs for 12 B-24s weekly. The Cottbus facility employed 2,800 workers. Turner operated his machine alone on first shift, with 2 colleagues covering second and third shifts. 3 American workers outproduced 2,800 German workers in wing rib production. Charles Wilson, $1-a-year man from General Electric, managed electrical systems production. His division produced 14,000 wiring harnesses monthly. Each B-24 contained 180 separate electrical circuits totaling 1.3 miles of wiring. His division's monthly output equipped 14,000 bombers with complete electrical systems. German aircraft electrical systems were hand-assembled by trained technicians, soldering individual connections. American systems used standardized connectors, enabling rapid installation. Wilson's division employed 840 workers. Equivalent German production required 4,200 technicians. American productivity per worker exceeded German productivity by 5-1 in electrical systems. Americans discarded 847 pounds of aluminum scrap daily from Wilson's division alone. Germany allocated 340 pounds of aluminum monthly to the Rostock facility for bomber production. The waste from single-shift operations at one American Electrical Systems division exceeded monthly aluminum allocation for an entire German bomber factory. Americans threw away more aluminum in quality control testing than Germany allocated to frontline aircraft repairs. Rejected wiring harnesses that failed inspection, representing 2.3% of production, totaled 322 harnesses monthly. These discarded harnesses contained 417 pounds of copper wiring. Germany's monthly copper allocation for aircraft wiring for all factories totaled 390 pounds. American quality control waste exceeded German total allocation. The waste from machining operations exceeded German monthly allocations. Aluminum chips from drilling operations totaled 1,847 pounds daily. Germany allocated 620 pounds monthly for FW-190 production at Cottbus. Workers threw away fasteners that German technicians rationed by the unit. Rejected rivets totaling 14,700 daily would have supplied German He-111 production for 6 weeks. The cafeteria discarded more food daily than Cottbus facility workers received weekly. Daily cafeteria waste included 340 pounds of meat, 580 pounds of vegetables, 890 pounds of bread, 230 gallons of milk. Cottbus workers received daily rations of 4.2 ounces of meat, 6.1 ounces of vegetables, 11 ounces of bread, 0.4 liters of milk. Willow Run's cafeteria waste could have fed the entire Cottbus workforce for 9 days. The material discarded in routine quality control, rejected components, trimmed materials, manufacturing byproducts, totaled 14,300 pounds daily. This quantity could have built 17 FW-190 fighters, using German manufacturing methods. Major Heinz Baer compiled production intelligence at Frankfurt headquarters. His November report stated, "American industrial capacity exceeds all projections. Single facilities outproduce our entire industry. Willow Run alone produces 420 heavy bombers monthly. Our entire industry produced 3,538 aircraft of all types in September. One American factory produces 11.9% of our total output, producing only one aircraft model." The report reached Berlin on November 18. It was filed unread. German technical superiority would prevail. The mathematics were undeniable. November 26, 1944. Near Merseburg, Germany, 10:47 hours. Oberleutnant Fritz Müller was completing his landing approach to Achmer Airfield when he noticed contrails at 8,000 meters. His Me-262 descended through 2,000 meters at 420 kilometers per hour with landing gear extended and flaps at 20 degrees. At 10:47:18, he observed 4 aircraft diving from 7,000 meters. At 10:47:31, he recognized them as P-51 Mustangs. At 10:47:35, tracer fire crossed his canopy. At 10:47:41, his right engine exploded. Elapsed time from first sighting to critical damage, 23 seconds. He ejected at 10:47:43. His aircraft impacted at 10:47:51. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 33 seconds. Kill time, 33 seconds. At Achmer Airfield, 4 more Me-262s approached landing. At 10:51:00, 8 P-51s attacked from low altitude. The jets were vulnerable in landing configuration. Gear down, flaps extended, engines throttled to 40%, speed reduced to 280 kilometers per hour for safe landing. At 10:51:14, the first Me-262 was destroyed. Kill time, 14 seconds. At 10:51:29, the second exploded. Kill time, 15 seconds. At 10:51:47, the third crashed short of runway. Kill time, 18 seconds. At 10:51:58, the fourth successfully landed under fire and taxied to dispersal area. American fighters strafed parked aircraft. At 10:53:40, 3 Me-262s destroyed on ground. At 10:54:12, ground defenses engaged American fighters. At 10:54:45, Americans withdrew. Total engagement duration, 3 minutes 45 seconds. Enemy losses, 6 Mi-262 aircraft destroyed, 3 pilots killed, 3 pilots injured. American losses, 0 aircraft, 0 pilots. Kill ratio, 6-0. The ammunition expended in this 3-minute engagement exceeded Achmer's monthly allocation for defensive operations. American fighters fired approximately 4,800 rounds of .50 caliber ammunition. Achmer received 3,600 rounds monthly for all flak positions combined. A single engagement consumed 133% of monthly defensive ammunition allocation. Generalmajor Galland reviewed engagement reports at Berlin headquarters. Intelligence attributed the attack to mechanical failure, causing 1 aircraft to crash on approach. The simultaneous destruction of 5 additional aircraft during landing approaches represented unfortunate coincidence. American fighters happened to be in the area. No tactical pattern existed. The report concluded, no fundamental vulnerability identified. Jets remain superior in all combat parameters. Galland signed the report and forwarded it to Luftwaffe command. The mathematics seemed undeniable. Jets were faster, climbed better, carried heavier armament. Landing approaches represented momentary vulnerability affecting all aircraft equally. No cause for concern existed. December 1944, Frankfurt, Germany. Major Heinz Baer received 15 separate reports of jets destroyed during takeoff or landing operations. December 3 at Rheine. 4 Mi-262s destroyed during landing, elapsed time 7 minutes, 4 pilots killed. December 7 at Hopsten. 3 Mi-262s destroyed during takeoff, elapsed time 4 minutes, 2 pilots killed, 1 injured. December 12 at Hesse. 5 Mi-262s destroyed approaching runway, elapsed time 9 minutes, 5 pilots killed. December 15 at Plantlun. 6 Mi-262s destroyed on ground after landing, elapsed time 12 minutes, 3 pilots killed, 4 aircraft destroyed. December 19 at Varelbusch. 4 Mi-262s destroyed during landing approach, elapsed time 6 minutes, 4 pilots killed. December 22 at Achmer. 7 Mi-262s destroyed during mixed takeoff and landing operations, elapsed time 14 minutes, 6 pilots killed, 2 injured. Total December losses during takeoff and landing operations: 29 Mi-262 aircraft, 24 pilots killed, 7 pilots injured. 0 American losses reported in any engagement. Baer drafted a detailed memorandum. Pattern analysis indicates deliberate American tactic targeting jets during vulnerable flight phases. Mi-262 requires 920 meters takeoff roll at full power. Acceleration from stationary to takeoff speed requires 34 seconds. During this phase, aircraft travels in straight line at predictable altitude and speed. Cannot maneuver. Cannot engage enemy. Landing approach requires 3 minutes at reduced speed with landing gear deployed. Cannot accelerate rapidly. Cannot climb. Cannot engage. Americans position fighters near known jet bases and attack during these vulnerable phases. Recommend dispersing jet units to multiple fields, increasing fighter escort during approach phases, and enhancing ground-based air defense. The memorandum reached Luftwaffe Command on December 27. Response arrived December 29. Jets remain technically superior. Tactical adjustments unnecessary. Continue current operations. American production statistics from November confirmed earlier trends. American factories produced 3,891 fighters in November. Germany produced 3,013 aircraft of all types. A single American facility, Republic Aviation's Farmingdale plant, produced 387 P-47 Thunderbolts in November. This single facility exceeded 12.5% of total German aircraft production while producing only 1 fighter model. North American Aviation's Inglewood facility produced 511 P-51 Mustangs in November. Combined production from 2 American fighter facilities exceeded 29.8% of total German aircraft production. American production increased monthly. German production declined due to strategic bombing, fuel shortages, and material constraints. They tried dispersing aircraft to satellite fields. The Americans followed jets to every location. They attempted scheduling all landings simultaneously to overwhelm attackers. The Americans brought more fighters. They established standing fighter patrols near jet bases. The Americans attacked patrol aircraft during landing. They equipped jets with additional fuel for extended loitering capability. The Americans waited. No tactical adjustment overcame fundamental vulnerability. Jets required runways for landing. Runways were fixed locations. Fixed locations enabled predictable intercepts. The mathematics became undeniable. December 28, 1944. Near Achmer Airfield, Germany, 14:23 hours. 16 Me-262s from JG-7 returned from bomber escort mission. Fuel state critical after 87-minute combat patrol. At 14:23, lead element began landing approach. At 14:23:40, 12 P-51s attacked from multiple directions. At 14:24:10, first Me-262 destroyed on approach. Kill time 30 seconds. At 14:24:35, second Me-262 destroyed. Kill time 25 seconds. At 14:24:58, third Me-262 destroyed. Kill time 23 seconds. At 14:25:19, fourth Me-262 crashed attempting evasive maneuvers with landing gear deployed. Kill time 21 seconds. At 14:25:47, fifth Me-262 destroyed short of runway. Kill time 28 seconds. At 14:26:12, sixth Me-262 destroyed. Kill time 25 seconds. 8 P-51s strafed parked aircraft. At 14:27:30, 3 Me-262s destroyed on ground. At 14:28:05, 2 more Me-262s destroyed in revetments. At 14:28:40, 4 additional P-51s arrived as reinforcement. At 14:29:15, 2 Me-262s attempting takeoff to defend field were destroyed during takeoff roll. First aircraft destroyed at rotation. Elapsed time from break release to destruction, 29 seconds. Kill time, 29 seconds. Second aircraft destroyed 400 meters from break release point. Elapsed time, 33 seconds. Kill time, 33 seconds. At 14:30:50, 3 more Me-262s destroyed in dispersal areas. At 14:32:10, Americans withdrew. Total engagement duration, 8 minutes 50 seconds. Enemy aircraft destroyed, 13 Me-262s, 6 in air during approach, 2 during takeoff, 5 on ground. Enemy losses, 11 pilots killed, 4 pilots injured, 16 aircraft destroyed or damaged beyond repair. American losses, 2 P-51s damaged by ground fire, both returned to base. 0 American pilots killed or injured. Kill ratio, 16:0. The ammunition expended in this 8-minute engagement exceeded Achmer's monthly allocation for all defensive and offensive operations. Estimated 18,400 rounds .50 caliber ammunition expended. Achmer received 11,200 rounds monthly allocation. The fuel consumed by 16 P-51s during this engagement exceeded Achmer's weekly allocation for training flights. Americans burned approximately 4,800 liters of fuel. Achmer received 3,400 liters weekly for non-combat operations. General Major Adolf Galland was in the cockpit of Me-262 WNR. 170,083 when the attack began. At 14:24:05, his aircraft was at 800 meters altitude, 340 kilometers per hour, landing gear down, final approach. At 14:24:18, P-51 fire struck his left engine. At 14:24:26, aircraft lost hydraulic pressure. At 14:24:31, he attempted go-around with single engine. At 14:24:35, P-51 fire struck cockpit. At 14:24:39, he lost consciousness. At 14:24:42, aircraft impacted 670 meters short of runway threshold. Elapsed time from engagement to death, 37 seconds. Kill time, 37 seconds. General Major Adolf Galland, holder of the Knight's Cross with oak leaves and swords, credited with 104 aerial victories, died at 14:24:42 on final approach to Achmer Airfield. This wasn't combat. This was systematic annihilation. Intelligence reported engagement to Luftwaffe command. Surviving pilots described overwhelming American numbers, coordinated attacks, complete tactical surprise. Fighter escort requests increased. Command responded, "No fighters available. All conventional fighters committed to Eastern Front. Jets must defend themselves." Baer's December 29 memorandum arrived. Tactical situation untenable. Jets vulnerable during landing and takeoff. Americans exploit this. Losses exceed production. JG-7 lost 47 Me-262s in December. Industry produced 38. Net loss 9 aircraft monthly. This trend continued will eliminate jet fighter force by March. Command response. Increase production. German technical superiority will prevail. The mathematics were becoming catastrophic. Inglewood, California, January 1945. At North American Aviation's Inglewood facility, production processes achieved unprecedented efficiency metrics. Every 47 minutes, another P-51 Mustang rolled off the line. This single facility produced 511 fighters in November, 523 in December, projected 540 in January. Daily production averaged 17 aircraft. Assembly line operations employed 8,932 workers across 3 shifts. Station 47 installed the Packard V1657 engine. Station 93 installed 6.50 caliber Browning M2 machine guns. Station 141 installed radio equipment. Station 187 conducted weapons testing. Station 219 fueled aircraft and prepared for delivery flight. Americans discarded 234 pounds of aluminum daily from machining operations at Station 47 alone. Germany allocated 89 pounds monthly to Messerschmitt's Regensburg facility for Me-262 production. The waste from engine installation operations at a single American station exceeded monthly aluminum allocation for German jet production. Workers threw away fasteners daily that German facilities rationed weekly. Rejected rivets totaling 3,400 daily exceeded monthly allocation for Messerschmitt's entire operation. The cafeteria discarded more food daily than Regensburg workers received weekly. Daily waste included 147 pounds of meat, 298 pounds of vegetables, 456 pounds of bread. Regensburg workers received daily rations of 3.8 ounces of meat, 5.2 ounces of vegetables, 9 ounces of bread. Inglewood cafeteria waste could have fed Regensburg workforce for 6 days. Aluminum scrap from single day's production totaled 2,340 pounds. This exceeded Germany's monthly allocation for all Me-262 production facilities combined. German monthly allocation, 1,890 pounds distributed across 3 facilities. Discarded ammunition in weapons testing exceeded enemy combat allocation. Daily testing consumed 14,700 rounds. German fighters received 120 rounds per aircraft as combat load. Testing consumed sufficient ammunition to load 122 German fighters daily. Every paragraph revealed the same pattern. This single facility produced more fighters monthly than Germany's entire industry produced Me-262s. November German Me-262 production, 307 aircraft. Inglewood P-51 production, 511 aircraft. One American factory outproduced all German jet factories by 66.4%. December figures intensified disparity. German Me-262 production declined to 283 due to strategic bombing of components suppliers. Inglewood production increased to 523. Gap widened to 84.8% American advantage from single facility. Material consumption told parallel story. Inglewood consumed 890 tons of aluminum monthly. All German Me-262 facilities combined consumed 670 tons monthly. Inglewood consumed 220 tons more aluminum monthly than entire German jet program. This excess aluminum could have produced 89 additional Me-262s monthly using German manufacturing methods. Major Heinz Baer received updated production intelligence. His January 15 report documented catastrophic disparity. American fighter production December 1944, 4,247 aircraft all types. German production December 1944, 2,998 aircraft all types. Americans produced 1,249 more aircraft while conducting strategic bombing campaign against our facilities. Single American factory, Inglewood, produced 523 P-51 fighters. Our entire Me-262 program produced 283. Their single-model facility exceeded our revolutionary jet program by 84.8%. The mathematics are irrefutable. We cannot win production war. Report reached Berlin January 18. Response January 20. Production statistics irrelevant. Quality exceeds quantity. Single Me-262 equals 5 P-51s in combat capability. Continue current operations. January 14, 1945. Operation Bodenplatte. German High Command ordered Grossensatz, Maximum effort attack against Allied airfields in Belgium, Holland, and France. Objective: destroy Allied aircraft on ground, regain air superiority through single overwhelming strike. 962 German fighters committed. Target: 17 Allied airfields. At 09:20 hours, first wave crossed front lines. At 09:45 hours, German fighters reached target airfields. At 10:15 hours, attacks concluded. German claims: 467 Allied aircraft destroyed on ground, 14 in air. Reality: 144 Allied aircraft destroyed, mostly training aircraft. Cost: 271 German aircraft lost, 214 pilots killed including 3 Geschwader commanders, 18 Staffel commanders, and experienced formation leaders representing accumulated tactical expertise from 4 years' combat. American and British fighter response was immediate and overwhelming. At Y-29 Airfield near Asch, Belgium, P-51s from 352nd Fighter Group engaged German attackers. At 09:47, 12 Bf-109s appeared at low-altitude strafing parked aircraft. At 09:48, 16 P-51s already airborne from dawn patrol intercepted. At 09:49:45, 4 Bf-109s destroyed. Kill time per aircraft, 18 seconds average. At 09:51:20, 3 more destroyed. At 09:52:40, 2 more destroyed. At 09:53:15, remaining 3 withdrew. Elapsed engagement time, 5 minutes 45 seconds. Enemy losses, 9 Bf-109 fighters, 7 pilots killed, 2 captured. American losses, 3 P-51s damaged on ground during strafing, 0 air combat losses, 0 pilots killed. At St. Trond Airfield, 18 FW-190s attacked at 09:52. At 09:53, 24 P-47s from 56th Fighter Group intercepted. At 09:54, 46 FW-190s destroyed. Kill time average 20 seconds. At 09:56:10, 4 more destroyed. At 09:57:25, 3 more destroyed. At 09:58:40, 2 more destroyed. At 09:59:20, remaining 3 withdrew. Total engagement duration, 6 minutes 0 seconds. Enemy losses, 15 FW-190 fighters, 12 pilots killed, 3 captured. American losses, 6 P-47s destroyed on ground, 0 air losses, 0 pilot casualties. At Metz Airfield, 22 Bf-109s attacked at 10:03. At 10:04, 32 P-51s from 361st Fighter Group intercepted. Engagement lasted 9 minutes. At 10:13:30, 20 Bf-109s destroyed, 2 returned to base damaged. Enemy pilot losses, 17 killed, 3 captured, 2 returned wounded. American losses, 11 aircraft destroyed on ground, 0 air losses, 0 pilot casualties. Kill ratio, 20:0. The mathematics became undeniable across all engagements. Germans committed 962 aircraft, lost 271 destroyed, 65 damaged beyond repair. Total loss, 336 aircraft, 34.9% of attacking force. Pilot casualties, 214 killed, 67 captured, 26 wounded. Total, 307 pilot casualties representing 31.9% of pilots committed. Irreplaceable command experience lost. 3 Geschwader commanders dead, 18 Staffel commanders dead. Allied losses, 144 aircraft destroyed on ground, 12 aircraft lost in air combat. Pilot casualties, 3 killed, 2 wounded. Kill ratio in air combat, 271-12 or 22-6-1 in Allied favor. The ammunition expended in this single day exceeded Germany's monthly allocation for entire Western Front. Americans expended approximately 847,000 rounds .50 caliber ammunition. German monthly allocation for all Western Front operations, 620,000 rounds. The fuel consumed in American air operations this single day exceeded German weekly allocation for all Western Front fighter operations. Americans consumed approximately 340,000 liters of aviation fuel. German weekly allocation, 280,000 liters. Oberleutnant Fritz Müller survived the operation. His Bf-109 G-14 was hit during strafing run at Oefhoven Airfield. He crash-landed in German-held territory and returned to base. His after-action report stated, "Encountered immediate fighter response. Allied fighters appeared within 90 seconds of our arrival. They were already airborne, already positioned, already coordinating. We flew into prepared defense. This wasn't surprise attack. This was target practice. They knew we were coming. The mathematics are undeniable. They have more aircraft, more pilots, more fuel, more ammunition, better intelligence, and faster response. We cannot win this. March 1945, multiple locations. Major Heinz Bear compiled final intelligence assessment. January losses, 1,847 German aircraft all types. Allied losses, 447 aircraft. February losses, 1,629 German aircraft. Allied losses, 391 aircraft. Kill ratios, January 4, 1 Allied favor, February 4, 2 Allied favor. German production January, 2,447 aircraft. February, 2,103 aircraft. American production January, 4,891 aircraft. February, 4,764 aircraft. Americans produced 2,444 more aircraft in January than Germany while sustaining 447 losses. They replaced every lost aircraft and added 1,997 additional. February pattern identical. They produced 2,661 more than Germany while losing 391. Net American advantage. 2,270 aircraft added to operational strength. Statistics included production comparisons. Single American facility, Willow Run, produced 434 B-24 bombers monthly. Entire German bomber production, 187 aircraft monthly all types. Willow Run alone exceeded German bomber production by 232%. Single facility producing single aircraft type exceeded entire German industry producing all bomber types. Republic Aviation Farmingdale facility produced 411 P-47 fighters monthly. Entire German single-engine fighter production, 1,340 monthly all types. Farmingdale represented 30.7% of total German single-engine fighter production. Single American factory. Single aircraft model. 30.7% of Germany's entire single-engine fighter production. Entire American fighter production February 1945. 3,247 aircraft. Entire German fighter production, 1,804 aircraft. American numerical advantage, 1,443 aircraft, representing 80% additional production beyond German total. 3 Allied fighters produced for every 2 German fighters. This ratio assumed no losses. Accounting for combat losses, ratio became 5. 1 American advantage in operational aircraft added to force structure monthly. Failed tactics multiplied. They attempted night operations to avoid fighters. Americans developed night-capable P-61 Black Widows and radar-equipped Mosquitoes. They tried low-altitude attacks below radar. Americans positioned visual observers and mobile radar. They attempted maximum altitude approaches above 10,000 meters. Americans equipped fighters with high-altitude engines and pressurized cockpits. They dispersed aircraft to 400-plus airfields. Americans tracked all locations through signals intelligence and reconnaissance. Every tactical adjustment met immediate counter. The mathematics were catastrophic. March 24, 1945, near Leipzig, Germany. 37 Me-262s from JG-7 engaged 174 B-17 bombers escorted by 97 P-51 Mustangs. The engagement lasted 43 minutes. At 13:47, jets attacked bomber formation from dead astern at 720 kilometers per hour closure rate. At 13:48, 33 B-17s destroyed. At 13:49, 2 more B-17s destroyed. At 13:51, 10 P-51 escorts engaged jets. At 13:52:45, 4 Me-262s destroyed. Kill time per aircraft, 23 seconds average. At 13:54, 20 jets broke engagement and attempted to return to base. At 13:56:50, P-51s intercepted jets near Richlin Airfield during landing approach. At 13:58, 39 Me-262s destroyed on approach. At 14:02:15, 6 more Me-262s destroyed during landing. At 14:07:30, 4 Me-262s destroyed on ground. At 14:12:40, remaining jets successfully landed. At 14:18:50, Americans withdrew. Enemy aircraft destroyed, 23 Me-262 fighters. Enemy pilots, 19 killed, 7 injured. Bomber losses, 5 B-17s. Escort losses, 2 P-51s damaged, both returned to base. Kill ratio 23-5 or 4-6-1 American favor. Previous engagements showed 22-1 kill ratios in jet attacks on unescorted bombers. Introduction of coordinated fighter escort and airfield attacks reduced jet effectiveness by 79.1%. The ammunition expended exceeded Leipzig garrison's monthly allocation for all defensive operations. Americans expended approximately 67,000 rounds .50 caliber ammunition. Leipzig received 52,000 rounds monthly. The fuel consumed in this engagement exceeded Leipzig's weekly allocation for training operations. Americans consumed approximately 18,900 liters. Leipzig received 14,200 liters weekly for training. Oberleutnant Fritz Müller witnessed the engagement from ground observation post. His aircraft was unserviceable due to engine maintenance. He watched 23 Me-262s destroyed in 43 minutes. He watched pilots eject from burning aircraft. He watched jets explode during landing approaches. He watched Americans strafe parked aircraft with impunity. He watched ground defenses fire uselessly at targets traveling 600 kilometers per hour. He watched the Luftwaffe's technological advantage dissolve into tactical irrelevance. The Me-262 remains superior in every measurable parameter, he wrote in his diary that evening. Speed, climb rate, firepower, altitude capability all favor us, but we must land. Landing requires vulnerable approach. Americans wait. Speed becomes irrelevant at 280 kilometers per hour on final approach. Climb rate irrelevant with landing gear deployed. Altitude capability irrelevant at 200 meters. Firepower irrelevant with guns cold and fuel tanks empty. Our technical superiority is defeated by chronology. We must land eventually. The mathematics are undeniable. Eventually means defeat. April 1945. Allied interrogation centers, multiple locations. Major Heinz Baer surrendered to American forces April 28, 1945. His interrogation at Kaufbeuren Processing Center lasted 6 days. His testimony was recorded verbatim. We were not defeated by better soldiers, but by better factories. American fighter production exceeded 3,800 monthly in early 1945. German production fell below 2,000 monthly. A single American factory, Inglewood North American Aviation Facility, produced 540 P-51 fighters monthly. Our entire Me-262 program produced 283 monthly at peak. Their single facility outproduced our revolutionary jet program by 91%. This is not combat defeat. This is industrial defeat. You didn't just outproduce us. You revolutionized production itself. We built aircraft using skilled craftsmen. You built aircraft using interchangeable parts and specialized machinery. Your workers with 3 months training outproduced our craftsmen with 5 years experience. A single American riveting station produced more structural components than our entire Rostock facility. You achieved this through industrial methods that eliminated craftsmanship as limiting factor. Baer continued, your production advantage exceeded all rational analysis. Willow Run produced 420 heavy bombers monthly. Our entire industry produced 187 bombers monthly, all types. Single American factory exceeded our total production by 224%. Republic Aviation Farmingdale produced 411 P-47 fighters monthly. This represented 30.7% of our entire single-engine fighter production from one facility producing one model. These ratios are incomprehensible using traditional manufacturing frameworks. You didn't achieve 10% advantage or 20% advantage. You achieved 100% to 200% advantages from individual facilities. This represents fundamental transformation of industrial production itself. Oberleutnant Fritz Müller surrendered May 7, 1945 at Flensburg. His interrogation at Einbeck Center lasted 4 days. His testimony, I saw the Me-262 destroyed as military weapon despite technical superiority. The Americans attacked during takeoff and landing. Every tactical advantage became irrelevant during these phases. Speed means nothing at 280 kilometers per hour on final approach. Climb rate means nothing with landing gear extended. Altitude capability means nothing at 200 meters. Armament means nothing with empty magazines. The Americans understood fundamental truth we missed. All aircraft must land. Landing creates vulnerability. Fixed airfields create predictability. Predictability enables intercepts. They didn't outfight the Me-262. They waited for it to land. This is not tactics. This is physics. Additional testimonies from captured Luftwaffe personnel provided consistent themes. Hauptmann Werner Hoffmann, JG-27. We brought precision engineering to mass production war. They brought industrial processes. We emphasized quality. They emphasized quantity. We produced 3,000 fighters. They produced 15,000. Quality becomes irrelevant when outnumbered 5-1. Skill becomes irrelevant when opponent can absorb losses and continue attacking. Technical superiority becomes irrelevant when enemy has 5 replacement aircraft for every one lost. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. We strained every resource producing 3,000 aircraft. They produced 15,000 and still had excess capacity. This is not combat. This is mathematics. Oberst Johann Steinhoff, JG-4. They could lose 500 fighters monthly and replace them in 1 week. We lost 200 fighters monthly and required 5 weeks replacement. They achieved this while bombing our factories, interdicting our supply lines, and fighting on multiple fronts simultaneously. We dedicated entire industrial capacity to fighter production and achieved 2,000 monthly. They produced 3,800 fighters monthly while also producing 800 bombers, 400 transports, and 600 trainers monthly, plus 200 naval aircraft, plus 150 reconnaissance aircraft. Their fighter production alone exceeded our total production by 90%. Their total production exceeded ours by 300%. The mathematics were catastrophic. We could not lose aircraft faster than replacement rate. They could lose aircraft at 300% of our loss rate and still increase operational strength. Production statistics stated by interrogated personnel confirmed Allied intelligence. American production January through April 1945, 19,347 aircraft all types. German production same period, 8,449 aircraft all types. Single American factory Willow Run production January through April, 1,736 B-24 bombers. Entire German bomber production same period, 748 aircraft all types. Willow Run alone produced 232% more bombers than Germany's entire industry producing all bomber types. Single American facility North American Inglewood January through April, 2,140 P-51 fighters. Entire German Me-262 production same period, 1,098 jets. Single American facility outproduced entire German jet program by 195%. These ratios could not be overcome through tactics, training, or technical superiority. May 8, 1945, victory in Europe. The Me-262 proved that technical superiority cannot overcome industrial capacity when disparity reaches catastrophic ratios. Democratic industrial systems mobilized free workers producing under voluntary cooperation. Authoritarian systems mobilized slave labor producing under coercion. Free workers outproduced slaves. Democratic cooperation exceeded totalitarian command. Industrial abundance buried ideological superiority under 19,347 American aircraft in 4 months versus 8,449 German aircraft in same period. The mathematics were not military. The mathematics were industrial. Single American factories outproduced entire German industries. Individual American workers with 3 months training outproduced German craftsmen with 5 years experience. American quality control waste exceeded German total production allocations. American excess capacity exceeded German maximum effort. This represented fundamental transformation of industrial production that rendered traditional military superiority irrelevant. The Me-262 was faster. The Me-262 climbed better. The Me-262 carried heavier armament. The Me-262 operated at higher altitude. Every measurable technical parameter favored Germany. None of it mattered. P-51s shot down Me-262s during takeoff and landing, because all aircraft must eventually land. Landing creates vulnerability, and Americans produced sufficient fighters to maintain continuous patrols near every German airfield simultaneously. German technical superiority existed. German tactical skill existed. German combat experience existed. None could overcome 3-1 production disadvantage from fighters alone, 5-1 disadvantage from total aircraft production, 8-1 disadvantage in industrial capacity, 12-1 disadvantage in aluminum allocation, 15-1 disadvantage in fuel production, 20-1 disadvantage in pilot training hours. The numbers compounded. Technical superiority becomes tactical irrelevance when outnumbered 5-1. Tactical skill becomes strategic irrelevance when production ratios reach 8-1. Strategic planning becomes operational impossibility when resource disparities reach 20-1. The Me-262 represented peak achievement of German engineering and tactical innovation. It was rendered militarily irrelevant by American industrial capacity, producing 19,347 aircraft in 4 months, using methods that eliminated skilled craftsmen as production bottleneck and mobilized industrial capacity that exceeded Axis combined production by 400%. January 1, 1945, Generalmajor Adolf Galland had laughed at American propeller fighters attempting to intercept jets traveling 160 kilometers per hour faster. May 8, 1945, Galland was dead, killed at 37 seconds elapsed time from engagement during final approach to Achmer Airfield. His mockery became history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 214 Luftwaffe fighter pilots killed on runways before takeoff power was achieved. 437 aircraft destroyed on ground during first 30 days of coordinated attacks. 962 aircraft committed to single operation, resulting in 271 destroyed and 214 pilots killed. 19,347 Allied aircraft produced in final 4 months, exceeding German production by 229%. An industrial capacity transformation that rendered technical superiority operationally irrelevant through production ratios reaching 5-1 in fighters and 8-1 in total aircraft. The lesson remains: dismissing democratic nations as weak because they prefer peace invites catastrophic miscalculation. Underestimating free people's productive capacity when mobilized invites industrial defeat. Assuming technical superiority overcomes numerical disadvantage invites tactical annihilation. The Me-262 was the world's first operational jet fighter. It was faster than any Allied fighter. It climbed better than any Allied fighter. It carried more armament than any Allied fighter. It operated at higher altitude than any Allied fighter. Every measurable technical parameter favored Germany. P-51 Mustangs shot them down during takeoff and landing. The mathematics were undeniable. All aircraft must land. Landing creates vulnerability. Americans had sufficient production capacity to exploit that vulnerability continuously, systematically, and without exception until no German jets remained operational. Technical superiority became historical footnote. Industrial capacity determined victory. The numbers tell complete story: 19,347 versus 8,449. Everything else was commentary on those numbers. The mockery stopped. The mathematics continued.